In this video, we are going to explore graphic design element number 2, white space. In e-learning, content is king. We are often tempted to put down every bit of information that we've researched or know about a topic. And for educators, that's a lot. However, have you ever tried talking to your end user, which is your students, about the content? Maybe it's important that we should measure how much of our content is actually consumed and consumed easily without too much of a cognitive load. This brings me to a very important tool in a designer's tool bag. It's called white space. Today we're going to talk about white space and how it impacts our course design. We will conclude the discussion with some challenges around the use of white space. White space or negative space is simply an unmarked space in the design. It's a space between the layouts, the lines of paragraphs, between different elements, and so on. So you can see this has been around forever. And you can see the black part is the filled space called positive space, and this is the negative space. So do you see a vase or do you see two faces? And this example shows you how important space can be. White space does not literally mean an empty space with a white background. It can be of any color or texture or pattern, or even a background image. Practic Haig states, white space in design composition is the same as the use of silence in a musical composition. Without the proportionate use of silence, music is unstructured, and some call it noise. Similarly, without white space, the design is unstructured and difficult to consume. So white space is a part of an effective e-learning design. It can turn a screen into something very interesting or sophisticated, or maybe both. White space reminds us that simple screen designs can be highly effective, and you do not want to cram a screen with text and graphics to get content to your students. And I'm going to give you some examples of that at the end of this video. So we know that simple screens can be highly effective. Look at this group. You can actually put yourself in their position, and the direction of their gazes actually guide your eye up to the text. So leaving this white space leaves the designs uncluttered, and at the same time provide your students a place to focus. So the content on this page is the exact same as the previous slide, but what is different is the use of white space and placement. See how the image draws your eyes away from the text? You want to keep your students' focus right where you want it. Okay? So using white space evenly makes the content in the design easily scannable and significantly improves legibility. A study conducted indicates that the proper use of white space between lines of paragraphs and its left and right margins can increase comprehension up to 20%. And as educators, if we can get a 20% bump in comprehension, that's pretty good. So I wanted to give you an illustration of the textual white space. So this is at a 1, 115, 1.5. And to me, this is where it starts getting a little bit more challenging reading at a 1.5. And then at a 3, it's very distinct. So this is probably the most comfortable on the eye, and I do believe that that's Google's default setting is 1.15. So you want to pay attention to that as you are thinking about white space in your design. Okay, so according to the Nielsen-Norman Group, world leaders in web user research found that 79% of our test users always scanned any new page they came across. So they're not reading from start to finish like they do in a traditional book. They are skimming and scanning. And if you put too much text on a page, learners are just going to skip it. So you want to use white space to make it more attractive and accessible. So this is the same paragraph information, but it's a different use of the white space. So I left the first sentence blocked but then the next 4 sentences I used as bullets, and then the final sentence I used as a block. And then that way you have created this extra white space that's going to slow your reader down, and even if they are skimming and scanning through here, they're going to pick up more of the information than they would if they skimmed through here. Okay, so large spaces between layouts and layout elements can help guide students through the context on the page. So we've used white space as the backdrop of this, and then we've only put the information in which we want them. And you can see your eyes really do flow through this information. Okay, so here are some examples of what not to do from an article written, the top 50 worst website designs that will make you cringe. Okay, so remember what I said about balance? This is the front of their website. So everything's over here, and look at all the information that they've pushed into this one side, and then all of this space. Even though it's black, it's still considered white space because there's nothing here. And this may be a pattern, but it's such a devastatingly bright pattern that it is a complete turnoff, and most people are not going to look at it. Okay, so they did a good job with the texture and the white space here, but there's not anything here for us to do or see. And this looks very 1970s to me. So as you're utilizing your white space, really think about how the learner is going to interact with your page, and then design that accordingly. So a final thought with white space. White space isn't just empty space on a page. It's your friend in creating online and blended courses because it enables students to focus and zone in on what you are teaching. I would like to thank these people who created awesome resources that I utilized in this video. And if you would like to learn more, go to Driving Digital Learning on my YouTube channel and see the rest of my graphic design videos.